wanted to up the horsepower and give it a manual transmission, I could kind of get it, but...
Oh, that's full throttle.
Oh gosh, so this one's very broken.
3 SUVs you should avoid. In this video, we are out here at Dealer's Auto Auction of the Rockies, checking out 3 crossovers and SUVs you should probably avoid. And we're starting with this, the Nissan Juke, a car I personally love, that Brendan personally hates, and a car you might want to stay away from.
So the styling on this was really weird, starting with these, which you would think are the headlights, but they aren't. This is the daytime running light and the turn signals, and they're kind of up towards the hood. They're to the side of the hood, but the headlights are actually down here looking kind of like the fog lights.
Now, Brendan, the styling of the Juke certainly isn't for everyone. Personally, I freaking love it because nowadays every crossover looks like the same old blob. Nissan went berserk with the Juke styling. As you mentioned, the headlight treatment is crazy. You can get kind of funky mirror cap colors. This one is the Nismo, which gave you these really fantastic grayed out wheels, the red stripe down the side, the spoiler on the back. This was the high performance body kit you could get on a Juke, and then out back you had these super angular, aggressive taillights. I mean, this car was introduced in 2010. I think the styling was pretty far ahead of the curve, and I think it actually looks pretty good, 13 years later.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of kills me because the visibility in the rear is so terrible with this C-pillar being such a big blocky chunk. When you sit in it, it's just really hard to see, which I think is one of the more important things to have in an SUV.
And then we come to the inside, which is just as weird, wacky, and wonderful as the outside, starting with these aggressive bucket seats in a small, relatively affordable crossover with this kind of perforation, and the red background looks really, really cool. And then this whole center console is body color paint, and that's because Nissan wanted this to look like the tank of a motorcycle. All of this is cool and not the Juke's main problem. The Juke's biggest problem from an interior standpoint was the lack of room, especially the back seat. Brendan, how do you fit back there?
Not very well, Tommy. I'm only 5'9", and my knees are firmly planted into the back of your seat. But not only that, I have no headroom whatsoever. I have no center armrest. I have no cup holders, and I'm crammed in here like a little sardine in a tin can.
There are some really cool interior features in this Juke, like this climate control panel, which looks pretty normal. You got this little screen that shows you what's going on. But if I push the D mode button, all of a sudden, all of the buttons change their function. And now I have 3 different drive modes. In the normal mode, it shows me torque. In the sport mode, it shows me turbo boost. And the eco mode, it shows me an eco level, which is kind of dumb. But you also have your trip computer in here. You got a G-force gauge here, Brendan. You got a bunch of different settings. How badass is this? Look at this. This is fantastically cool, wouldn't you say, my dude?
So unnecessary in a crossover, in my opinion.
Well, but it's badass. What other small crossover has a boost gauge in the center?
Give me a manual and I would enjoy those things. But the problem with this is it's got a CVT.
Well, here was a really dumb thing that Nissan did from a packaging standpoint is, if you wanted all-wheel drive, you had to get the CVT. You could get a manual, but only a front-wheel drive. And speaking of the CVT, you've got this pretty normal-looking steering wheel, except these enormous paddle shifters, which simulate a manual transmission, and they look like something out of an Alfa Romeo. And when you combine that with the bright red tachometer, this is one hell of an interior. I love this thing. And check this out. There's even different all-wheel drive modes. You can go from front-wheel drive to all-wheel drive lock to an all-wheel drive torque variable system. Pretty rad in a little crossover. So, Brendan, have I sold you on the Juke?
No, because now I'm sitting in the front seats, and I think I realize I'd rather be in the back seats. I mean, I'm a wider guy, and this is some pretty aggressive bolstering in these seats.
They went a little nuts with the Juke seats, 100%, and I think maybe the Nismo, or do you say Nismo, got tighter seats. We also got a firmer suspension, the Nismo wheels, the body kit. Has that sold you on the Juke?
No, I mean...
Is it just too weird?
I mean, it's the thing. It's like you're trying to make it look like a performance vehicle without getting any additional power, without a manual transmission, and it's just it just doesn't make sense to me. If you wanted to up the horsepower and give it a manual transmission, I could kind of get it, but
that's full throttle.
Oh gosh, so this one's very broken. So there you go. It's your typical CVT that's been broken.
Maybe bit the dust a little. Yeah, I mean, 188 horsepower, brilliant little 1.6 turbo. You get up to 215 horsepower in the Juke with the Nismo RS. But yeah, the CVT kind of kills it for me, I have to say. Unreliable, not super engaging, just a little dreary.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but it's a shame because I think it looks cool. If you had a really, really, really small family, like you and you.
Yeah, you and you. Just you alone.
Plenty of room. Exactly right. But yeah, the CVT, it's a no-go for me.
You know, my mom actually owns one of these. I hope she doesn't watch this video.
She better not. I'm going to send it right to her.
Oh, no.
The next SUV on the list, Brendan, is one you shouldn't buy, not because of the vehicle, because the vehicle is fantastic, one of my favorite cars of all time, the Jeep Wrangler TJ. These things are awesome, but it's more an example of what you shouldn't do to your vehicle, and maybe you should avoid buying one like this, because it has some rather questionable modifications.
Yeah, obviously it has probably the single stupidest wheels you could put on a Wrangler. You're getting rid of sidewall and adding height. I can't imagine what that would look like off-road or attempting to off-road with this wheel and tire setup. And then not only that, but it's been pretty poorly maintained. I mean, look at this like little fog light here that's all smashed in. That one's smashed in. It's got bumps and bruises everywhere. Paint fade. The seats are ripped. The top leaks. Do I keep going?
Yeah, I mean, you really, when you're shopping for a used car, you want to find one that's been well loved with a good maintenance history, you know, that's got stacks of paperwork. This has none of that. It's got no paperwork. It's got spray painted blue rotors and rear drum brakes on it. It's got rust on various parts of the body. Crawl underneath, you're going to find some rust as well. So this is a lesson of what you should look for when you're not buying a vehicle. And oftentimes, questionable mods do mean a questionable ownership history. Now, the good news about this particular 22-inch wheel setup is it's probably never, ever been off-road.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. Or at least they've probably never been off-road with these wheels. And I think at least the wheels, you could fix that.
Oh,
but it's
easy, yeah.
The other stuff, this car is just going to nickel and dime you to death by the time you factor in the top and fixing the rust and fixing the paint and fixing the lights and the ripped seats. Like, you could have just bought a nice Wrangler that has all of those things from the get-go.
And a rule of thumb when I'm buying TJ Wranglers specifically, because so many have been modified, you know, to a really poor extent, is you're better off buying a stock one, sometimes paying more, sometimes paying less, depending on the seller, but buying a stock one and then doing the mods yourself so you know what you're getting, you know it's been installed properly, it's not been abused off-road, it's not been abused on-road. So this car, great vehicle, but not one you should probably consider buying. However, Brendan, I still want to take it for a quick spin because there are some really good things to talk about with the TJ Wrangler.
Let's do it.
Now, Brendan, I do absolutely adore this generation of Wrangler. These were built from the late 90s through 2006. 97 through 06, if you want to get technical. And this one has the right engine. It's the 4-liter inline 6, of course, 4-wheel drive, soft top. I mean, as a vehicle, these are probably my favorite, if not my favorite, Wrangler of all time. But this is just kind of roached.
And here's the thing, the Sahara, which this is a Sahara version, had, I think, the best interior with these like green and tan seats and then like the tan and black dash. I really love the combination. I just, I wish this hadn't fallen into the wrong hands.
Right, I mean, and it's got check engine light on as well, definitely smelling a little carbon monoxide-y, so I'm wondering if maybe it needs a cat or something going on.
Yeah, I would sense that this would have a bad catalytic converter if you were to run the code on it.
Smelling a little carbon monoxide-y. You can't smell carbon monoxide, but you get the point.
It feels a little down on power.
Oh God, the ride is terrible.
Yes. I mean, the ride on these is already kind of harsh to begin with, but then you take away all of the sidewall and the tires, it just makes it straight up terrible.
I've driven so many TJs over the years, and this is the worst riding one I've ever felt.
Oh man.
So yeah, great vehicle. Definitely buy a nice TJ Wrangler. Just avoid one that's been modified poorly and with a little care.
And last but not least, I think one of the ugliest SUVs of all time, the Ford Freestyle, or do they call it the Taurus X? I mean, this one's the Taurus X, right? I get so confused because they changed the name mid-cycle on these.
Well, the big issue with this car is it's kind of got a case of lost identity. Is it a wagon? Is it a minivan? Is it a crossover? It's a little bit of nothing is what it is.
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's like a, what do they call it? A master of none, but like you can do a little bit of everything. It's like, it's the Walmart of cars, right?
You're jack of all trades, master of none.
Thank you. Yes, jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah, this actually replaced, or was intended to replace, the Ford Taurus wagon. And yeah, it is kind of like a wagon that's a little bit lifted up off the ground. And it is based off of that same Taurus or Ford 500 or Mercury Montego or whatever you want to call it platform, because they went through so many different names back then. But yeah, I don't know. I think they just kind of missed the mark on this one.
Well, the thing with this car is replaced the Freestyle, as you mentioned. They did improve it over the Freestyle, and they only sold it for 2 years, 08 and 09. This is peak recession era Ford, folks, is what we're looking at. Now, the front end design is a little Explorer-ish, right?
Yeah.
The side is like generic NPC car. You like the two-tone burgundy on gold?
I mean, it does help break up the monotony a little bit, because this is the Eddie Bauer edition. So this is one of the nicer versions of it that you can get, but it just screams like small minivan to me, which I feel like if you're in the market for an SUV, you want an SUV because you don't want a minivan. And this, they turned an SUV into a minivan. It's just kind of a weird decision to make.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, Brendan. It does have, as you talked about, the 3 rows of seats. They do fold up like so. You can get a full, in this case, 6 people out of there. You can also fold them into the floor, as I was actually really attempting to do there. There we go. That's how you fold them up. Got my order of operations wrong there. Now, the space is worse than a minivan. It's about the same as an SUV, but you don't get kind of that cool high riding effect of the SUV. But hang on. Maybe the interior will bring us back into the game.
I sure hope so.
Now, one thing I will say about the Taurus X here, Brendan, is the seats are surprisingly comfortable. We got these leather buckets in this Eddie Bauer edition. How is it back there?
Yeah, it's actually pretty darn comfortable, although weirdly, I don't know if this one's just missing the middle seat or what, but there's no center armrests here. You'd think that if you have 2 captain's chairs, you'd have some fold-down center armrests or a cup holder thing in the middle here, but I think you do have some cup holders down here below. You do have up above the ability to change your fan speed as well as the temperature back here, but that's really about it as far as creature comforts. I will say it is fairly comfortable and fairly spacious, though.
Now, this is the era of Ford where luxury meant more fake wood than you'd find, well, in an old man's strip club.
Sure.
Let's be honest.
There's just a lot of metal poles in an old man strip club.
There's also a lot of fake wood thanks to Viagra. But this is what we're seeing here on the interior. Just acres and acres of this wood covering some of the chintziest plastic you'll find on any car. It's not a very well made interior. It is easy to use, which I love. I kind of miss buttons and knobs and dials in the era of touchscreens, and it is well equipped with heated seats, dual zone climate control. You got pedal adjustments even. Automatic headlights. So it's pretty well equipped for 2008, but it's not what I would call a luxury cabin.
Well, you even have a little child monitoring device up there, Tommy.
Ooh, look at that. And look at that, a place for your sunglasses. So lots of good cubby space, actually, Brendan. Overall, it's got a lot of good places to put crap. It just, it's not a very nice interior.
No.
So, Brendan, it may have a little bit of an identity crisis going on, but do we think it's going to drive great?
I would hope so. It's got less than 100,000 miles on it, and any car with less than 100,000 miles on it should drive pretty well in theory, right?
No, I mean, do you think it's going to drive great compared to a good car? From like a dynamic standpoint.
I think it's just going to have no identity like you would think that it would by looking at it. It's just going to be a car going down the road, just existing in time and space, and that's about it. But
I'll tell you what it drives like. It drives like a minivan.
Yeah.
Because it really is a minivan. But minivans aren't cool, so Ford was like, well, we'll take the sliding door off, make it less practical, give it a hump on the roof, and call it an SUV. That'll get folks to buy it. It wasn't a great success.
This was kind of their first attempt at doing something like that, but I think the vehicle that replaced it, they kind of perfected it. The Ford Flex,
yeah,
especially
cool.
with that EcoBoost, that thing was actually properly cool. And so I think you'd be much better off getting one of those versus one of these.
3.5 liter V6, all-wheel drive, 6-speed automatic.
Well, didn't these early ones have a CVT?
So the Freestyle had a CVT. The Taurus X, though, it's got a real auto.
Well, that's good. At least you have that much going for you. But yeah, if you're out there shopping for the Freestyle with all-wheel drive, you're stuck with a CVT in those.
This is the most boring car I've driven in a long time. It may not objectively be horrible, it's just so boring.
Yeah.
Well, folks, guys, thank you for watching this video. Let us know what you think in the comment section below.
Yeah, and for everything else, check out alltfl.com.
Yeah, be sure to check out our Buy or Bust series over at TFL Classics for more interesting, quirky, weird classic stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. Take care.